where the bottom row is glazed with each of our colors and then gets a second dip of itself. So if you look here at Royal Purple was dipped once, and then when it dried, the very top ½ inch or so was dipped with a second coat of Royal Purple. And then as you go up the chart, you'll see that Royal Purple is the first thing that was dipped on the tiles, and then the second dip you can find by coming over here and reading here, Spruce Blue went over the top of Royal Purple for this tile. So we want you to really pay attention to the notes that are up here for you, and also the tiny notes that we put on top of the tiles to let you know this one is super runny, so be careful. These pieces are bisqued. They've been put through one firing, and they're very thirsty, so they're going to take the glaze really quickly. So one of our main rules around here is to glaze quickly. Don't leave your pot in the glaze very long. So when you put too much glaze or 2 coats of glaze on a short piece like this one, then it's going to have a tendency to run more and stick to the shelf. So we want you to avoid 2 coats of anything on this type piece. And I'm going to show you that one first. So what we want is after you've wiped these down with a very, just barely damp sponge to get all the dust off of them, that's very important for some of these glazes. You're going to let them dry for a few minutes, and then what you want to do is, because we can't have glaze on the bottom of our pieces, you're going to want to what we call dry foot them. And that means whatever you do in the glazing process, you have to get all the glaze back off of the bottom and about 1/4 inch up the side so that nothing melts and touches the shelves in the firing. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to saturate part of a sponge, and we're just going to paint it all across the bottom so that we're saturating the bottom of the piece and it doesn't soak up the glaze as fast as the rest of the piece. So we're just painting what we don't want to have glaze on it right now. So on a piece like this short one, what I'd like for people to do is to, if you can't hold on to the bottom like this, then you're kind of committed to glazing it all in one color. So the way we'll do that is make sure that the glaze is really mixed up. There are toilet brushes here that will stay in the glaze. I've mixed this already, but I'm just stirring it up a little bit more. It does take a few minutes of standing here and stirring. You're going to take the glazing tongs and you're going to trap your piece in such a way that feels really stable. You don't want to grab it up here close to the top. You're going to dip quickly in and right back out. So what's going to happen is as soon as you see the glaze soaking in enough that you can touch without taking the glaze off on your finger, you're going to hold it and you're going to use a large damp sponge to wipe off the bottom of the piece. So once I picked up the piece, I can use my sponge to wipe off the bottom. So another way to get the glaze off the bottom of your piece after you've dipped it is to use this carpet square, which I've dampened. As long as your piece is really dry, you can hold both sides and you can work it back and forth on this low piece of damp carpet, and it'll do most of the work for you. You'll notice that on this piece it doesn't come up quite as high as we would like it to. I'm going to take a damp sponge and I'm going to help it out a little bit. Perfect. Maybe you would just want a second coat around the rim. You would saturate your brush. Just do the rim with the second coat, because if we come down this side over here, we don't have enough room between the second coat of glaze and the bottom to be safe. Another technique you can use is with a brush or a small dispenser of some sort, or cup even. You can take a very small amount of glaze and you can accent like that. Again, this doesn't need to stay inside your piece very long or it'll soak up and be too thick. So I'm going to turn and pour. Make make sure you pour all of it out. So the way you can do a second coat on the outside without getting that second color on the inside is to hold it like this and trap the air as you go into the second color. And once it stops dripping, you can turn it back up. And where the two will cross over at the top, because there's always some point of crossover, you're going to have the two coats, and you'll see a little bit of run, more than likely, on the inside and the outside rim. If you wanted to put another coat barely down from the top of this cylinder, you can, because you have a lot of room here for it to be forgiven as it runs, but I just want you to do the top less than an inch. Any more than that is going to risk running too far down on your cylinder.